Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hope you folks are doing well out there this morning and having yourselves a fantastic start to your day and a great week out there so far. Here to figure out what's going to happen weather-wise for your Wednesday. Of course, the big topic is severe weather. We have dangerous severe weather expected for today. In fact, it's dangerous out there right now with multiple tornado warnings in southwest Louisiana. Complex of storm is now leaving Texas and moving into Louisiana, but we have storms out ahead of this main line also creating a lot of severe weather. We have flash flood warnings out there. There is a lot of weather to discuss. So the big weather topic is obviously going to be the severe weather risk across the deep south as all this storm action and energy continues to sweep across the southern sections of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the panhandle of Florida, and eventually into Georgia until late this evening into the overnight hours. So we'll break that down in great detail with you folks. Talk about the latest information we do have from the Storm Prediction Center. And then at the very end of the video, we will discuss a little bit on tomorrow's severe weather risk, which has not increased, just two areas to really watch. And we'll discuss that a little bit, but we'll get a little bit more detailed on that here in the next video for tomorrow's severe weather risk. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. So as you can tell, the main energy is down here in Louisiana. You got a lot of rain. We had a tornado warning this morning, even north of Jackson, Mississippi. We still got a lot of rain back here in eastern Texas. I would say the severe weather threat is now pretty much dropping off in eastern Texas, but it is very active right now in Louisiana. And we'll actually zoom into this here in a second off radar scope. So I know you're probably looking at this saying, Mitch, I can barely see it. We have ongoing tornado warnings right now in Louisiana, but this is as of around 7:20 a.m. So, of course, by the time this video drops, it'll be about an hour or so later. But it's very active right now at the time of doing this. There's a lot of rain across areas of Tennessee, Kentucky. We got some light to moderate rain falling out there. And then we got a little bit of rain across the Ohio Valley into Pennsylvania into New York State, up into the Northeast. A little bit of energy across the high plains and north of North Dakota up here into Canada. So watches, warnings, and advisories right now. We have a lot of flood watches. We got flash flood warnings. We got tornado watches. We got a lot of things going on out there. But a lot of this is happening right at this moment. These flood watches to the east are for what's to come here in like Alabama, southwest Georgia, and Florida. We got a lot of heavy rain on the way. Even got flood watches up for northern Indiana and areas of northwest Ohio for this surface low that's actually creating all this severe weather for the most part. It's going to actually cruise across the eastern U.S., and there's going to be a lot of rain on the north side of the low also that's going to probably drop a few inches of rain up here in areas, like I said, of Indiana and Ohio. So if you're talking about the excessive rainfall outlook, there is a slight risk that does extend all the way into the Midwest, which means we have a 15% risk of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles on any given location. But in this red area, pretty much right where you have the severe weather risk for today, the highest severe weather risk, you have a 40% chance of that, which means you got a 40% risk of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance. So listen, flash flooding is a big threat today too. We have flash flood warnings right now across eastern Texas into southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, into Mississippi. So please don't ignore that threat. If your area gets under a flash flood warning, take it serious, especially if you are familiar with a very flood-prone area or live in a very flood-prone area. But let's dive right into this severe weather risk. So this is the latest information from the Storm Prediction Center. Here's a broad look at it. I want to take a look at this first. I do want to mention a marginal risk of severe weather, level 1 out of 5, extends all the way up into southern Kentucky, all the way up and including a good section, almost all of Tennessee. We do have that slight risk all the way up into northern Mississippi and northern Alabama. But let's actually zoom into this. Talk about the heart of this severe weather risk for today. This severe weather is happening right now in this area right here. Okay, but there is a moderate risk. This is a nice discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. It was dropped a couple hours ago. So if you're not familiar with the outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center, the red area, that is a moderate risk. If we had a high risk, that would be in in the pink, which is a level 5 out of 5, but this is just a level 4 out of 5. So we have a moderate risk right in here. This includes areas of like Natchez, Hattiesburg, up to Meridian, down to Baton Rouge, almost down to like Gulfport, almost down to like Mobile, Alabama, and does include this section right here of southwestern Alabama. Do have the enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5, and the orange. This includes what's going on right at this moment in western Louisiana. Includes Lafayette, down to Houma, New Orleans. It does include Gulfport, Mobile, up to Jackson, Vicksburg, over here to Pensacola, Panama City, more so for what happens this evening. And then I do think the risk of severe weather does significantly drop off once you get into like northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. I think most of the ingredients for severe weather is going to be in this area right in here, even a little bit further south. If you notice the blue dash region, the outline area, that is saying most favorable area for 75 mile per hour wind gusts or higher. That's hurricane force wind gusts. If you look at the black dashed outline area, most favorable area for strong tornadoes. That's EF2 or higher. All right, but we can take another look at this. This is the tornado outlook. And remember, this is probably going to drop off some in this region right here over the next probably hour or two, as basically this line of severe weather is sweeping through Louisiana right now, and then the severe weather threat will gradually drop off as the main kind of show continues to move eastward. So in the red area, that is a 15% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. Includes this section of Louisiana, pretty much all of southern Mississippi, and then southwest Alabama. And then if you look in the yellow area, that is a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. And if you look in the black outlined area with the black dashes going in between it, that is a 10% risk of a strong tornado. It's called a hatch risk, EF2 or higher. And then the brown area, that is a 5% risk of a tornado. We back this up and we look at the wind outlook, guys. This is just as big of a deal as the tornado threat. All right, in the pink, that is a 45% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. In the red area, it's a 30% chance of that same criteria. And then in the black outline region, with the black dashes going in between it, that is a risk of significant winds, which is considered basically 75 miles per hour or higher. Hurricane force wind gusts, destructive wind gusts with this, guys. And remember, this is moving right now into western Louisiana. So speaking of western Louisiana, this is what we're dealing with right at this moment. Folks, I mean, Lake Charles under a tornado warning. This is the dangerous part of these storms today, right? This is going to be your classic Dixie Deep South severe weather event. Very sloppy. You're not going to see these tornadoes coming. It's just going to look like a wall of rain. You'll hear it more than anything. That's why it's very important to take it serious if you go under a tornado warning today. You know, these tornadoes in the Deep South, there's always a very low chance that you're going to get this photogenic tornado. Not every tornado outbreak across the Deep South is like Alabama 2011 in April, okay, where you can actually just see these stovepipe tornadoes, you know, of these videos you've seen. Typically, more often than not, they're very sloppy in nature. You can barely see them. They just almost look like lowering and just grayness. And those are the most dangerous ones because they're what we call rain wrapped. You can't see them. So this is exactly the threat that's going on right now. Embedded tornadoes. And I'm not saying there's a confirmed tornado right now in this area. There could be. I haven't looked deep into this. This is going on right now. But embedded tornadoes and this setup for today. So we'll go on and jump to the HRRR model. What does this look like for today? We'll start off this morning. HRRR model handling this line of storms decently. It shows kind of the pre-convection ahead of the main line. But as we continue to make our way, let's go on and bring it to about 10 a.m. All right, these storms are blasting through southwestern sections of Mississippi down to southeastern Louisiana, slamming the Baton Rouge area. You got a lot of heavy rain and storms kind of coming out the Gulf into kind of the bayou of Louisiana, the Houma region, Thibodaux, all you folks down here. Hattiesburg already getting storms. You got to watch all these storms out ahead of this main line right here. There's going to be kind of like two blows, I would say. The one is the pre-convection in front of this main line that's probably going to bring a destructive wind gust more than likely. And then you got the main line that's going to bring those really strong wind gusts. So we keep this going. We take it to about lunchtime, Central Time. These storms are blasting through Hattiesburg, Meridian, down to Baton Rouge. You're still dealing with this. Then you got all these little clusters of storms right here. They're going to have embedded rotation, embedded spin-ups. And then you're going to have embedded tornadoes in this squall line. And then this continues. If you notice up here, more just heavy rain in northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. Not a non-existent severe weather threat, but certainly not as high. But it's everybody down here. This is where all the energy is. It's really tucked in to along the Gulf coastline. We could still be dealing with a lot of storm activity in Hattiesburg, around early afternoon. I think the worst of it does hit you guys around midday, give or take an hour one way or the other. But look at these storms already getting into the western panhandle of Florida. They kind of blast through like Mobile, Alabama, southwest Alabama. Around like lunchtime to 2 to 3 p.m. today. All hazards on the table, especially winds and then tornadoes. And you keep this going, and by the time we're about to 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, these are blasting through the western panhandle of Florida, affecting Pensacola, up to Montgomery, all of southern Alabama, and they make it all the way to Georgia by lunchtime today. By about dinner time today, 5, 6 p.m. These storms are knocking on the doorstep of Columbus, Georgia. Already have hit Dothan, Alabama, for example, and it's just embedded areas of energy, of storms, embedded tornadoes, damaging wind gusts. And then we get all the way to about 8, 9 p.m. Look at this line of storms making its way through southwest Georgia. These storms are still producing a tornado risk in the panhandle of Florida. Yeah, so this continues, guys, and by the time we get into, I would say about midnight tonight, 1 a.m., I still think there's going to be ongoing severe weather potential here in southwest Alabama, the panhandle of Florida. As the system kind of slows, you can kind of see this kidney bean look, and I would not ignore a tornado risk as far north as like central Georgia. We have to see how much energy is still in the atmosphere, and then this begins tomorrow's risk. And you see all this rain up here, really lacking in stability. This is just more so just heavy rain from the north side of the surface low. So I know you're seeing all this rain up here. Not really any severe element to this at all. And one thing you'll watch, guys, is the energy along the Gulf coastline. If you look down here, you see the energy. Cape levels over 1,500 to 2,000 joules per kilogram ahead of this main line right here. The energy will certainly be there. I think that this is being overdone in like southern Mississippi. I think that you'll have Cape levels higher than that as we're getting in over the next couple hours. And look how it kind of tries to build back in over southern Mississippi. So this might fuel kind of some more energy that might form behind kind of the main line that pushes in about midday today in this area. So watch out for any other storms that do develop in southeast Louisiana, like, I don't know, maybe like late this afternoon, this evening. And then look all the energy that kind of tries to build over like Mobile, Alabama. So we do got to watch any storms that could get going again behind the main energy that's kind of probably right into here into southern Alabama, getting into Georgia. And then, there is that area of energy still waiting to get tapped into with these storms in the panhandle of Florida. And then it kind of winds away as we get into tomorrow morning. So updraft Felicity swath. Worst of the weather is going to be right in here, folks. Watch how you see this highlighted region right here that really gets lit up as far as these colors. And what this is, guys, and we'll go on and just take it all the way through Thursday morning. Where you see these kind of vibrant colors, this is where this particular run of the HRRR model is trying to depict rotation with some of these storms. So it doesn't mean that this entire area is going to get just tornadoes. It just means that you have a higher risk of tornadoes. So, it is definitely lit up down here with the updraft Felicity swath. You are going to run that risk of tornadoes, hence why you have that 15% risk of tornadoes in this entire area right into here. Please take this serious. Right into here. So, you're definitely going to have solid rotation with these storms, guys. And then one thing you got to watch out for is these destructive wind gusts. And this is just one run of the HRRR model. Really picking up on those 50, 60, even... look at southwest Georgia here, like 65, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. But guys, we're probably going to get, I honestly think this is which is a little bit uncommon. Typically, the H-triple-R model overdoes wind gusts, but I think this is being underdone. But I mean, check it out. It really clusters this up here in southeast Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, the panhandle of Florida. It really likes the idea of these destructive wind gusts, 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts in this region with some of these clusters of storms that push through this area. So these storms will be trailing off into Georgia. I mean, this is around 7, 8 p.m. this evening. These storms are packing a punch. I mean, you got a pretty nasty line of storms kind of south of Macon into South Georgia, making its way in. Just more so heavy rain, I would say, up here in South Carolina, North Georgia. But we continue to get these clusters of storms kind of moving in. And we got to watch these storms around the Alabama-Georgia line into here, down here to southern Georgia. This is around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. You certainly want to have a way to get alerts tonight in Georgia for sure. I don't think it'll be as high end of a threat as it is to your west, but certainly be aware. And we'll take it all the way to about 7 a.m., 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll be dealing with a lot of storminess across Georgia, even into South Carolina, more so heavy rain once you get into the upstate of South Carolina, North Carolina, but we'll see. But we'll definitely be dealing with some severe alerts down here, probably in South Georgia especially, and then north of Florida. Rainfall between now and just the next 24 hours. Look at that heavy rain. Anywhere from 3 to as much as 5 inches of rain from the National Weather Service predicted in this area. Heavy rain on the way down here for the southern sections of the deep south states, guys. Please take this flash flooding risk serious also. It needs to be taken serious. And we, even look up here in Georgia and the Carolinas, a lot of rain. And in fact, I meant to let's look at Georgia. Here we go. Georgia, there's the panhandle of Florida. This is just between now. Yeah, this is between now and Friday morning. So pretty much the duration of this event. A few inches of rain in North Florida, the panhandle of Florida. Especially the further west you get in the panhandle of Florida, could get anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain. Southwest Georgia is definitely the epicenter as far as the state of Georgia for the most rain. So definitely a pollen washer on the way, but you're going to run the risk of severe weather also and flooding. So the rest of the southeast, that's it with the severe weather risk breakdown. Please take this serious today. The rest of the southeast, though, we already broke this down here. I do want to mention everybody else, though. We could get some storms up here in Tennessee, even into Kentucky. There's the surface low right into here that's getting going. And definitely some additional storms could form down here behind this main energy. So, I haven't seen much discussion on that, but some energy we'll try to build right in here. We'll see what happens after this main push of energy kind of moves in and out. But, we start to get into the overnight hours, and we're going to be dealing with some heavy rain in western Tennessee, Kentucky, as we're waking up tomorrow morning, and just kind of widespread rains moving into North Carolina as we're waking up tomorrow morning. The Northeast today, kind of a showery day. I mean, we could get some small hail with some storms that do form, maybe some rumbles of thunder. This is around 4 or 5 p.m. in Pennsylvania today. Even like around the PA, New Jersey state line. We got kind of some heavier burst of rain. Could get some small hail with these, but just showers up through New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, interior New England. These will sweep through. Might try to mix with some snow in the down east areas of Maine. We'll see. And then more widespread rain, heavy rain begins to enter Ohio as we get into the overnight hours tonight with the surface low approaching. This rain will become widespread in western New York, Pennsylvania. And then we start to get into tomorrow morning. And then we'll watch for a clearing in the Ohio Valley, and then we'll watch for severe storms that sweep through the Ohio Valley. But definitely waking up to a lot of rain in New York State. Rainfall just between now and the next 24 hours, just 2/10 to 3/10, maybe 4/10 of an inch of rain is the common theme out here across the interior areas of the Northeast. Not as much along the I-95 corridor. The South Central U.S., really the only story here is maybe some more storms try to form back here in western Louisiana a little bit later today. Not sure what's going to happen with these, but certainly be aware of these storms that could form. I don't want to say that the severe weather threat is completely done after this main line of storms moves in, and that kind of contradicts what I said in the beginning of the video. But I do think the worst of the weather is happening right at this moment. But look at all these kind of clusters of storms up here in Arkansas. But this is north of the low, so you probably have more of a stable environment up here. And then this continues, definitely heavy rain kind of cruising through Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois. Just more so rain, though, for this area. And then we get into tomorrow morning, and then this is pretty much clearing out. But just, I mean, you can see the rain from the actual low, right? A good swath of 1 to 3 inches of rain in this area today. From northeast Texas through Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, southeast of Missouri, up into Illinois. Good swath of 1 to 3 inches of rain expected just over the next 24 hours. The north central U.S., a little bit of spinach up here. We could have some pockets of storms in the Dakotas, Minnesota. Just depends on where you are. Could get some small hail with these storms, the cold air aloft, just further north. And then as you lose the daytime heating, that will kind of just more so form into some showers. And then we're waking up tomorrow morning, some rains entering and taking over the southern sections of lower Michigan, raining in northern Indiana, just some showers around the Des Moines, Ames region, maybe south of Minneapolis. But not a big weather day up here by any means. Western U.S., certainly some energy could, fly around out here in the northern plains, but most of the western U.S., guys, is pretty quiet. Even the Pacific Northwest, which is notorious to seeing a lot of moisture, pretty quiet weather day. Now, you're waking up for your Thursday morning, you're starting to see a little bit more moisture returning as another system begins to enter your screen and the coastline. But today, very quiet weather. The southwest will be nice temperatures. You can see this pocket of cooler air with rain will kind of cruise on through where it's not raining like in the Midwest here in the plains. 60s and 70s, the southeast, it's not really bothered by as much rain today. 70s and 80s, 60s and 70s across the deep south. Pocket of cooler air in Oklahoma and Texas. Nice day in the southwest, very warm temperatures. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s could hit 90 degrees. And certain sections in like southern Cal and Arizona. Pocket a little bit of cooler air across the northern Rockies, but really this isn't that cold at all. So that's today's information. Tomorrow we do have a slight risk up here, level 2 out of 5, and a slight risk down here. Notice there's no slight risk into the Carolinas anymore. I do think this will be broken up into 2 pieces, and I honestly think this will be the more higher end threat, but we'll see. And I think this slight risk up is mainly up for what happens tomorrow morning, early tomorrow afternoon, especially for Florida. So what is this driven off of? You got 2 5% tornado risk, one up here. Includes areas of the Ohio Valley, areas of Ohio, southwest PA, and areas of West Virginia, and a very small section of northern Kentucky. And then includes a very small section of the low country of South Carolina, southwest Georgia, southeast Georgia and southern Georgia, northern Florida. And then we have 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour in those 2 yellow areas. And then we do have that 5% risk of hail right in here. Let's take a look at what the radar could potentially look like as this unfolds. And this is starting off tomorrow morning. And as you can tell, line of storms sweep through eastern and southeastern Georgia, capable of producing strong to severe storms. Maybe a tornado threat, some damaging winds. You see these storms sweeping through North Florida. And as we start to get into the afternoon hours, 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, these storms are sweeping through kind of central Florida. And then by the time you start to get into tomorrow evening, they're pretty much done. But as you can tell up here, like in southern South Carolina, Georgia, this is pretty much done by the early afternoon hours. I don't know if we'll get any additional convection that gets going. I'm not sure. I don't think we will, to be honest. But the updraft velocity swath does pick up on a couple areas of rotation with these storms in Florida and Georgia. But all in all, not a very strong signal. Up here in Ohio, here's these storms. You see this initial morning and early afternoon rain that kind of moves on out. Atmosphere will try to destabilize in Ohio, and then bang, around 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Look at these strong to severe storms, especially in southern, southeastern, and eastern Ohio. Look at these clusters of storms. These will have the capability with more favorable kinematics to produce tornadoes, I think, in my personal opinion. And then these will move through. And these, I'm telling you, these storms could pack a punch in Ohio. Even these storms in kind of western West Virginia, western PA, and these continue to move through. And I do think they lose some steam fast as you get into the evening hours, 9, 10 p.m. I think this severe weather threat's pretty much done at this point. But if you look at the updraft velocity swath with this, indicating rotation, there's that signal for rotation right here in Ohio. It really likes the idea of southern and southeastern Ohio for this rotation. So we'll certainly be aware of that. I do want to mention, guys, there already is an enhanced risk at day 6. So there's going to be another powerful system that brings more severe weather early next week. We'll speak more on this when we can get what's out in front of us on out the way. So, but next Monday, severe weather threat looks pretty significant. They're already confident enough to put an enhanced risk at day 6. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to you again soon.